Every single morning, millions of Americans walk into the grocery store with a specific goal. They walk past the processed cereals, bypass the pastries, and head straight to the dairy aisle. They are looking for a shortcut to health. They reach for a plastic cup covered in images of fresh fruit, green leaves, and bold claims of probiotic power. We have been told for decades that this single food can fix our digestion, boost our immunity, and help lose weight. It is the ultimate health food. But if you look past the bright marketing and turn that plastic cup around, a completely different story begins to unfold. What most people are actually eating every morning isn't a health food at all. In fact, it might be doing the exact opposite of what they think. Hidden inside these brightly colored containers are ingredients that modern science is deeply concerned about. Ultra-processed thickeners that can irritate your digestive tract, artificial sweeteners that can alter your microbiome, and levels of hidden sugar that rival a standard candy bar. The reality is that the modern dairy aisle has become a minefield of corporate shortcuts and clever psychology, but it gets deeper. Many of the most popular options on store shelves are legally allowed to call themselves something they are not, exploiting loopholes in food labeling regulations. Out of dozens of major options available in the United States today, an extensive look into ingredients, processing methods, and corporate transparency reveals a shocking truth. 10 specific household names fail to deliver on the health promises they make. Yet, amidst the confusion, 3 rare alternatives actually stand by the ancient traditions of real food. The true state of the modern dairy aisle is something the multi-billion-dollar food industry desperately hopes you never look into too closely. The story of how we got here begins with a brand that defined the modern breakfast for generations. Yoplait started as a humble French dairy cooperative in 1965, born from the union of hundreds of regional farmers who wanted to bring authentic French dairy to the masses. When it arrived in the United States, it completely changed the landscape. Americans fell in love with its signature shape and smooth texture. Today, it represents a massive portion of the market, positioned as an easy, everyday choice for busy families who want a quick dose of nutrition. The public perception of this brand is built entirely on comfort and tradition. The bright red logo and the images of fresh strawberries create a powerful psychological trigger. It feels safe. It feels like the kind of wholesome food a parent can feel good about giving to their children before school. Consumers believe they are buying a simple blend of milk and fruit that supports their daily wellness goals. The reality inside the container is starkly different. When you examine the ingredient list of a standard strawberry flavor, the illusion of a simple dairy product disappears. What you actually find is a highly engineered food product. The vibrant red color doesn't just come from real strawberries. It is often enhanced, and the thick, creamy texture is achieved through the heavy use of modified cornstarch and kosher gelatin. More concerning is the sugar content. A single serving can contain around 13 grams of added sugar. That means, before you even start your day, you are consuming a product where a massive percentage of the calories come straight from refined sweeteners. The processing required to keep this product stable on shelves for weeks alters the natural matrix of the food, turning a traditional ferment into a dessert disguised as a health food. This matters immensely because of how our bodies process liquid and semi-solid sugars. When sugar is trapped inside a whole piece of fruit, the fiber slows down its absorption. But when it is blended into a highly processed paste with starches, it hits your system rapidly, causing a sharp spike in blood glucose followed by an inevitable crash. The very food people consume to feel energized actually leaves them feeling sluggish and hungry just a few hours later. The marketing created an icon of modern health. The ingredients delivered a highly processed confection. But as concerning as the sugar content in a standard fruit cup can be, the next major competitor took the concept of convenience and turned it into a full-blown confectionery experience. YoCrunch entered the market with a brilliant psychological hook. They realized that while consumers wanted the health benefits of fermented dairy, they missed the satisfying crunch of junk food. By placing a separate dome of recognizable candy and cookie pieces right on top of the container, they created a massive retail phenomenon. Millions of consumers buy these products every week, convinced they are making a compromise. The psychological justification is simple. They believe that even though there are cookies or chocolate pieces on top, the base beneath it is still inherently good for them. It is viewed as a guilt-free indulgence, a way to satisfy a sweet tooth while still getting a healthy dose of calcium and protein. The expectation is a balanced snack that provides the traditional benefits of live cultures alongside a small, controlled treat. The reality, however, is a nutritional disaster. When you combine the sugar naturally present in the dairy base with the massive amount of refined sugar, hydrogenated oils, and artificial flavors found in the candy mix-ins, the nutritional profile changes completely. A single serving can easily exceed 20 grams of sugar. To put that into perspective, that is nearly the entire recommended daily limit of added sugar for an adult, packed into a tiny snack cup. Independent nutritional reviews consistently rank these types of products closer to ice cream than traditional fermented food. The presence of live cultures becomes almost irrelevant when those beneficial bacteria are swimming in a sea of refined syrup and artificial preservatives. This matters because consuming this much refined sugar early in the day completely disrupts metabolic health. It trains your brain to crave high-calorie, low-nutrient foods throughout the remainder of the day. The consumer thinks they are protecting their health by avoiding a standard candy bar, but their metabolism cannot tell the difference. The compromise felt like a victory for the health-conscious consumer. The formulation ensured it was anything but. While some brands use candy to attract buyers, others rely on specialized health claims to build their empire. Activia, owned by the global food giant Danone, revolutionized the industry by positioning itself not just as a food, but as a functional medical solution. Launched with massive ad campaigns featuring trusted celebrities, the brand promised something no one else did: the specific ability to regulate your digestive system in just 2 weeks, thanks to their proprietary strain of bacteria. The public perception was incredibly powerful. Millions of people suffering from minor digestive discomfort turned to this brand as a form of self-care. The marketing utilized clinical-looking packaging, green color palettes symbolizing health, and scientific terminology to build immense authority. Consumers genuinely believe they are purchasing a scientifically validated health remedy that will actively heal their gut microbiome. But the reality behind these claims has a controversial history. Years ago, the parent company faced severe scrutiny from regulatory bodies, including the Federal Trade Commission, over its aggressive health claims. The company eventually agreed to a massive multi-million-dollar settlement and consented to tone down its assertions after challenges regarding the strength of the scientific evidence backing their claims. When you look at the product today, many versions still contain significant amounts of added sugar and thickeners like food starch. While the proprietary bacteria are present, scientists have pointed out that introducing beneficial bacteria into a medium that contains high amounts of sugar can be counterproductive, as opportunistic bad bacteria in the gut also thrive on refined sugars. This matters because it highlights the danger of relying on corporate science for medical solutions. A healthy gut requires a diverse diet rich in natural fibers and unadulterated ferments. Consuming a product that relies on heavy processing and added sweeteners, even if it contains a specific engineered strain of bacteria, does not automatically override the negative impacts of the overall nutritional profile. The scientific branding promised a medical breakthrough for the average consumer. The regulatory reality revealed a carefully managed marketing narrative. This pattern of disguising indulgent desserts as functional health foods becomes even more apparent when we look at the rise of Australian-style products, led by brands like Noosa. Emerging from a small town in Colorado using a recipe inspired by the Australian coast, the brand captured the market by storm. It positioned itself as a premium artisan experience, offering a thick, velvety texture that felt significantly more luxurious than standard American options. The public perception is tied directly to this idea of premium, farm-fresh quality. The packaging uses clear tubs, allowing consumers to see the rich fruit puree resting at the bottom. It feels transparent, authentic, and wholesome. People buy it believing that because it is made with whole milk and real fruit, it represents a higher tier of purity and nutritional value. The expectation is a wholesome, nutrient-dense breakfast that honors traditional dairy farming. The reality, when you flip the tub over, is a stark reminder of how processing choices alter nutrition. The incredibly smooth, rich texture is achieved by using whole milk blended with a substantial amount of wild honey and cane sugar. A standard 8-ounce tub of certain flavors can contain over 30 grams of sugar. That is more sugar than a standard can of soda. While the brand does use real fruit and high-quality milk, the sheer volume of added sweeteners transforms what could be a highly nutritious food into a heavy caloric load. The consumer is unknowingly consuming a massive dose of simple carbohydrates, under the impression that they are doing something beneficial for their body. This matters because the human body metabolizes large amounts of honey and cane sugar the exact same way, by flooding the liver with fructose and glucose. Over time, regular consumption of such high sugar products, even those made with natural ingredients, can contribute to insulin resistance and fat accumulation in the liver. The health aura surrounding the product completely blinds the consumer to the actual nutritional reality. The artisan aesthetic promised a return to pure, simple food. The nutritional panel revealed a profile that mirrored a heavy dessert, but the transformation of the dairy aisle doesn't just happen through the addition of sugar. Sometimes, the issue is exactly what corporations do to replace it. Dannon Light Fit was created to capture a massive demographic, individuals desperately trying to lose weight or manage their blood sugar. Positioned as a guilt-free diet staple, the brand promised full flavor and a creamy texture with only a fraction of the calories and zero fat. The public perception of this brand is deeply rooted in diet culture. For years, fitness influencers and weight loss programs have recommended it as a safe haven. The packaging uses sleek typography and bright lifestyle imagery to convey a sense of lightness and health. Consumers believe they are buying a pure protein source that will help them maintain a calorie deficit without sacrificing flavor or gut health. The reality of how this ultra-low-calorie product is constructed is a masterclass in chemical engineering. To achieve a thick consistency without the natural fat from milk, the manufacturing process relies on modified food starch, fructose, and gelatin. To replace the sweetness of sugar without adding calories, the formula introduces artificial sweeteners like sucralose and acesulfame potassium. Emerging independent research into the human microbiome has raised serious questions about these intense artificial sweeteners. Multiple studies suggest that synthetic sweeteners may alter the balance of beneficial gut bacteria, potentially impacting glucose tolerance and metabolic health negatively. The very consumers choosing this product to improve their health may be introducing compounds that disrupt the delicate ecosystem of their digestive tract. This matters because it exposes the flaw of judging a food solely by its calorie count. A product can be low in calories but highly disruptive to your internal biology. When we replace real, whole ingredients with synthetic alternatives and heavily processed starches, we lose the intrinsic benefits of the food entirely. The diet labels promised an easy path to physical fitness. The chemical formulation introduced a completely synthetic compromise. This focus on engineering specific textures and flavors at the expense of simplicity extends far beyond diet products, moving directly into options targeted at the most vulnerable consumers. Danimals, another massive line from the Dannon corporate umbrella, was specifically designed for children. Sold in small, easy-to-grip bottles and cups, it featured colorful cartoon mascots and promises of strong bones and immune support, making it an instant staple in school lunchboxes across the country. The public perception is built entirely on parental trust and child approval. Parents buy it because it is an easy way to get their children to consume dairy, believing the marketing claims about calcium and vitamin D. It is perceived as a wholesome, necessary part of a growing child's daily nutrition. Backed by a major, established global corporation, the expectation is a foundational health food that nurtures a child's developing body. The reality is a highly processed drink, where the primary driver of taste is refined sugar. While the brand has made efforts over the years to reduce added sugars and eliminate artificial colors due to intense consumer pressure, many versions still contain a significant amount of sugar relative to the tiny portion size. Furthermore, the processing involves intense homogenization and pasteurization, which standardizes the dairy but strips away the complex, natural structures found in raw, minimally processed milk. The reliance on added flavors to keep children hooked creates an early psychological preference for hyper-palatable, intensely sweet foods. This matters because childhood is the critical window when dietary habits and taste preferences are permanently formed. By conditioning children to expect their dairy to taste like liquid candy, we make it incredibly difficult for them to appreciate whole, unprocessed foods later in life. The inclusion of synthetic vitamins does not undo the systemic effects of early sugar conditioning. The colorful packaging promised a fun path to childhood wellness. The industrial formulation delivered an introduction to sugar reliance. The challenge of finding a truly healthy option becomes even more complicated when we look at the premium segment of the market, where organic certification is used as a powerful selling point. Stonyfield Organic is widely regarded as a pioneer in the organic movement. Starting as a small farming school in New Hampshire, it grew into a massive national brand, representing a shift towards sustainable agriculture and clean eating. The public perception is pristine. Consumers willingly pay a premium price for the organic label, believing that the certification guarantees a product free from harmful interventions and packed with superior nutrition. It is viewed as the ethical, health-conscious choice for families who want to avoid synthetic pesticides and industrial farming practices. The expectation is an unadulterated, farm-fresh food that prioritizes human health and environmental integrity. But the reality reveals a complex corporate transition. After being acquired by large multinational food conglomerates over the course of its history, the brand had to scale its production to meet massive demand. While the milk used is indeed organic, many of their flavored options contain surprisingly high amounts of organic sugar, organic cornstarch, and natural flavors. The word organic does not change how the human body processes sugar or thickeners. Organic cane sugar is still refined sucrose, and when consumed in high quantities, it carries the exact same metabolic risks as conventional sugar. The use of natural flavors also allows the exact chemical makeup of the taste profile to remain hidden from the consumer. This matters because it demonstrates how the food industry uses legitimate certifications to create a false sense of absolute nutritional safety. A food can be perfectly organic but still highly processed and detrimental to your metabolic health if it is loaded with sweeteners and texturizers to extend shelf life and appeal to mass palates. The organic pioneer earned trust through environmental advocacy. The scaled production relied on the same sweet formulas as conventional brands. This pattern of utilizing premium trends to mask standard industrial processing is perhaps most evident in the explosive rise of the Greek yogurt phenomenon. Chobani single-handedly transformed the American dairy aisle by introducing a thicker, higher protein style of dairy. They built an empire on the promise of simple, authentic ingredients and a complete rejection of artificial preservatives. The public perception is unmatched. Chobani is widely seen as the brand that saved the dairy aisle from artificial ingredients. Consumers view it as the gold standard of modern nutrition, combining high protein with clean labels. Their popular Flips line, which features a split cup containing various crunchy toppings, is viewed as the ultimate modern snack for active, healthy lifestyles. The expectation is a high-protein, functional food that perfectly aligns with clean eating principles. However, the reality of the highly popular Flips line tells a completely different story. While the plain base yogurt is high in protein and made traditionally, the moment you flip the side compartment containing cookie pieces, white chocolate, and sweet glazes into the dairy, the clean label philosophy collapses. The ingredient list swells to include palm oil, soy lecithin, processed flour, and multiple forms of refined sugar. A single small container can contain upwards of 20 grams of sugar, transforming a traditional high-protein food into a delivery system for highly processed dessert ingredients. The health status of the base dairy acts as a psychological shield, preventing the consumer from realizing they are eating the equivalent of a bakery item. This matters because it shows how a brand can build immense credibility with one pure product line, and then leverage that credibility to sell highly processed, low-nutrient snack items under the exact same health umbrella. The consumer remains loyal to the name on the front, ignoring the industrial ingredients on the back. The brand identity was forged on a commitment to absolute purity. The snack innovations introduced the exact industrial additives they once fought against. As the market grew more crowded, traditional brands had to find new ways to compete, often leading to products that attempted to combine every single consumer trend into a single package. Dannon fruit on the bottom represents one of the oldest and most familiar formats in the supermarket. It relies on a simple nostalgia, the interactive experience of stirring a rich layer of fruit paste into a plain dairy base. The public perception is nostalgic and deeply comforting. Generations of Americans grew up with this product, seeing it as the original, authentic way to consume fruit and dairy together. It feels traditional, less processed than pre-blended products, and gives the consumer a sense of control over their food experience. The expectation is a simple combination of two whole foods, milk and fruit, just like you would prepare in your own kitchen. The reality inside the modern industrial version is highly mechanized. The fruit preparation at the bottom is not simply chopped fruit. It is a highly stabilized fruit syrup thick with modified food starch, pectin, malic acid, and significant amounts of cane sugar. The fruit processing requires intense heat, which destroys many of the delicate vitamins naturally present in the raw fruit. What remains is a sugary jam designed to sit stably at the bottom of a plastic cup for weeks. The actual nutritional value of the fruit is minimal, while the glycemic load is incredibly high. This matters because it exploits our natural instinct to trust foods that appear separate and unblended. We assume that because we have to mix it ourselves, it must be closer to its natural state. In reality, it is a carefully calculated industrial formulation designed to mimic an artisanal experience while maximizing shelf stability and sugar delivery. The classic format preserved a sense of homemade simplicity. The corporate execution delivered a highly stabilized sugar syrup. The ultimate culmination of this industrial shift can be found in the store brands that line the lower shelves of major supermarkets, where price efficiency overrides every other consideration. Walmart's Great Value brand has become one of the most widely consumed dairy lines in the world, offering an accessible, low-cost option for millions of working families trying to keep food on the table. The public perception is purely practical. Consumers view it as a straightforward, no-frills alternative to expensive name brands. There is an underlying assumption that because food regulations are strict, a basic store-brand product must be fundamentally identical to the major brands, just without the expensive marketing costs. The expectation is a basic, honest food product that provides essential nutrition at an affordable price. The reality of these ultra-low-cost options is that to achieve such low price points, every single step of the supply chain must be optimized for cost reduction. This often results in a product that relies heavily on water, milk protein concentrate, and whey protein concentrate rather than traditional whole milk fermentation. To make this thin, cost-efficient liquid look and feel like real dairy, a complex cocktail of additives is often introduced, including gelatin, modified cornstarch, and artificial sweeteners or preservatives, depending on the specific line. The focus is entirely on physical replication rather than nutritional integrity. The consumer saves money at the register, but receives a food product that has been stripped of its traditional food matrix. This matters because it creates a food equity issue. Working families looking for affordable nutrition are often left with highly engineered products filled with texturizers and starches, while the true benefits of traditional fermentation are reserved for those who can afford high-end specialty brands. The budget pricing provided essential economic relief to millions of homes. The ingredient assembly relied on industrial substitutes to mimic real food, but the story of the modern dairy aisle does not end with industrial shortcuts. The biggest surprise comes when you realize that a tiny group of producers has completely rejected this corporate playbook. While the major brands spent decades optimizing for shelf life, sugar addiction, and cost reduction, these three exceptional alternatives did something nobody expected. They chose to look backward. They proved that it is entirely possible to scale a clean, unadulterated product that honors human biology and traditional food production. The first brand that stands as a definitive shield against industrial manipulation is Phage. Originating in Athens, Greece in 1926, this family-owned company brought true, authentic strained dairy to the global stage. While other brands use starches, gums, and gelatin to artificially create a thick texture, Phage relies entirely on an authentic straining process. It takes 4 pounds of liquid milk to produce just 1 pound of their rich, velvety product. When you look at the ingredient list of Phage Total Plain, you will find exactly two things: skimmed milk and live active cultures. There are no thickeners, no added sugars, no stabilizers, and no engineered chemical additives. They provide absolute transparency by offering a clean slate. The protein content is naturally occurring from the concentration of the milk, not from added protein powders or concentrates. It is widely available across almost every major supermarket chain in the United States, proving that true quality does not have to remain a niche luxury item. It delivers exactly what the human body expects from a traditional fermented food: a dense source of bioavailable protein and a clean environment for beneficial bacteria to thrive. The second exceptional alternative emerged from a tiny kitchen in New York City, where an Icelandic immigrant grew frustrated with the overly sweet, chemical-laden options in American grocery stores. Siggi's was founded on the principles of skyr, a traditional Icelandic strain dairy product that has been a staple of Nordic culture for over 1,000 years. What makes this brand radically different is its absolute commitment to minimalism. Their flavored options contain a fraction of the sugar found in conventional brands, and they completely reject all artificial sweeteners and thickeners. Instead of using cornstarch or gelatin to alter the mouthfeel, they rely on traditional, meticulous straining. A single cup of their product uses 4 times the amount of milk required for a standard cup of conventional options, resulting in an incredibly dense, naturally high-protein food. The sweetness comes exclusively from a touch of real fruit and a minimal amount of organic agave nectar or cane sugar, carefully measured to ensure it never overwhelms the natural tartness of the dairy. They are completely transparent about their sourcing, utilizing milk from family farms that do not use artificial growth hormones. The final masterclass in absolute product purity comes from a brand that represents the absolute pinnacle of agricultural integrity. Maple Hill Creamery completely redefined the standards of American dairy by focusing entirely on what the cows eat. They are America's original certified 100% grass-fed organic dairy brand. While many organic brands still feed their cows grains and corn in industrial settings, Maple Hill's cows live on open pastures, eating nothing but fresh grass and forage. This radical commitment to natural farming completely changes the nutritional profile of the milk. Independent testing consistently shows that milk from 100% grass-fed cows contains significantly higher levels of omega-3 fatty acids and conjugated linoleic acid, which are critical for cardiovascular health and inflammation management. Their plain product contains absolutely zero added sugars, zero thickeners, and zero industrial gums. It is simply pure, grass-fed organic milk and live cultures. By maintaining this uncompromised supply chain, they provide a product that is not only safe, but actively healing to the human metabolic system. When you look closely at the modern landscape, the lesson becomes clear. The multi-billion-dollar food industry has mastered the art of using health psychology to sell highly processed products. They use clean labels, beautiful imagery, and selective scientific claims to make us believe we are nourishing our bodies while feeding us refined sugars, synthetic sweeteners, and industrial texturizers. The next time you stand in the dairy aisle, ignore the promises on the front of the box. Turn the container around and read the ingredient list like an investigator. Look for products that contain nothing more than milk and cultures. Protect your health by demanding absolute simplicity from the foods you bring into your home. The ultimate defense against a corporate food system is a consumer who refuses to be deceived.